believe is being a product of your environment. There's a really good book out there called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. I'm sure you guys have either heard it, read it, or whatnot. It's all about how small changes lead to big changes, and how, being a product of your environment can change how things roll. And this team it seems to be going in the opposite direction. Like, they're a product of what's becoming a worse and worse environment, whether it's, rumors about the coach leaving, which is apparently, completely media driven. I think we can all say, I mean, there hasn't really been any other reason to think that Brad would leave, or whether it's, players just not stepping up and not, showing up and not being consistent. For whatever the reason is, this team is going backwards, and they're not a team that is trending in the direction of confidence, not a team that's, making positive changes, even little things that, they can build off of. They're going into the trade deadline probably all wondering if they'll even be on the team next week, because they don't know if they're buyers or they're sellers at this point. I mean, it's just, we're at the point where, like, who are these guys?
But that's the thing is, so prior to the game, and I'm gonna get into Brad's comments about the staying and stuff, because again, media driven or not, I think from Indiana the interest in Brad was absolutely real. Whether or not Brad's interest, whether the interest was mutual, certainly seemed like it was driven by the media in terms of just putting two and two together and coming up with it. Yeah,
I mean, it kind of makes sense to, connect the dots. Sure.
But just now in the post game, Brad delivers another quote about togetherness, playing together. And before, I swear, this is my least favorite Brad quote of all time, when he talks about we have to be the best version of ourselves. He says it, and I get it. I can't stand it.
I don't even know what that version is.
Stand it. Just say, we freaking suck right now, instead of we have to be the best version of ourselves. You're not talking to toddlers, okay? And we keep saying that, like, okay, Johnny, I need you to be the best version of yourself today, and don't throw a stapler at your classmate. Like, right. I don't want to hear
being
that.
the best version of ourselves, basically saying
fixed.
We suck, but we need to be the best team. We need to be the best sucking team as possible.
Yeah, I hate that. But before the game, Brad addressed the IU rumors and gave the greatest Brad quote of his entire Boston tenure by far. Probably did more to ingratiate himself with this quote than anything that he's said or done this season. And I think bought himself a little bit of goodwill and ended the speculation. So I'll play this real quick.
Are you considering the Indiana University job right now, or kind of where does that stand?
Said it the other day. I'm not, and I tried to say it as clearly as I could, and also make sure that people understand that place to me is special. I hope they hire whoever they hire, and I hope they're there for 20 years and kids feel like I did. But I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a 44-year-old masshole. I swerve around others. When I'm driving, I eat Dunkin' Donuts and I root for the Patriots.
Yes, sir.
I'm unfortunately been skewed in a lot of ways, I guess.
So again,
I'm 44 years old. I'm a grown man.
I'm 40.
But going to the Packy afterwards, kid. Hall of Fame quote. Great. But so look at it this way. If you were a Celtics player, okay, now let's just get in their heads, okay? You're a Celtics player and there's stories, rumors about your coach leaving. Your coach comes out there and says, hell no, I'm here forever. We're going through this fight together. We're going through tough times, but I love you guys. I want to stay. And then the players go out and they drop 45 points in a listless first half and a 10-point deficit at home. And then collapse late in the fourth quarter. What does that say about them? Again, people are still like, oh, I don't think they're tuning him out. At what point do you start to acknowledge that, like, they're not laying out for one another or for him right now? They're not.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I mean, there is no North Star that they're gravitating towards. They're not tuning him out or tuning him in. They're not just playing hard for themselves. They're just out. They're just 15 bodies running up and down the court because that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not playing as if there's a purpose. There's no purpose to what they're playing for right now. They're not looking engaged, and what they'll do and what they've been done consistently is they'll show you just enough glimpses of them at their best. As Brad would say, they've been being the best versions of themselves. Hit the refresh button. They're the best version of themselves now. And then it'll go away.
Stand that quote. It kills me.
And it goes
Nails
away.
On a chalkboard. We got to be the best version of ourselves. Kills
refresh
me.
Button. Refresh.
Oh.
So Brad's message I thought was it was funny, it was great, everyone eats it up. But like, is that still like, I don't know, that like if he says that to his players, like, hey guys, like I'm a masshole, I'm going nowhere, like I don't know, is that really gonna fire them up? Like maybe he has a different way of, exactly. It's like, guys, I swerve around cars on the highway. I drink Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not going anywhere. Let's go out there and win this game. Like you'll be like he's hopefully he can relay that message in a different way that can kind of fire up his players. And I have no idea what they say to each other or what he says to them in the locker room, but it does kind of feel like, again, they play listless. They play like a team that this is like how they play. Like, well, I don't know. I guess we'll win this one, or I guess we lost this one. Like Sherrod said earlier, like I don't even know what the scout just blew my mind with that text. Like I couldn't figure out which answer I wanted to use, but I think the point was like they don't really care like one way or the other, like what's going on out there.
And that's a problem. That's a problem when you do.
Absolutely.
To me, I would much rather a team doesn't care and plays like they don't care. Like I look at a team like the Houston Rockets. I mean, they don't have much. They play hard, but they're not very good, and they know that. And they play like a team that's not very good, who knows who they are. You look at a team like Brooklyn and Utah. They could be down by 10, 15 points, and they know just like that they can beat you by 10 or 15 points in a matter of minutes. The Celtics, they don't really seem to know who they want to be. They're out there playing. They don't play like a team that should be out of the playoffs. They don't play like a team that wants to be the top of the mountaintop. They play like a team that's just happy to be in the building.
So let's put it this way. And again, so you can look around and again, point fingers at, okay, there's not great support players here on this team. Understandable. He's been struggling to figure out who to rotate in, who to play as that third wing behind Tatum and Brown, struggling to find offense when at least two of the guys between it's Kemba Brown and Tatum aren't on the floor. It's not an easy, the puzzle pieces are weird, okay? Playing that too big lineup, having injuries, I get it. He's at a bit of a disadvantage here. But at what point, again, if now you're looking at, you're going to put you're going to put it squarely on the shoulders of the people who are meant to lead you. And again, that's why I keep looking at the Jays. They have to take it to another level and transcend where they are right now because it's on them. If you are surrounded by lesser pieces, you have to double your efforts at this point. It doesn't mean I'm going to just score more. You have to figure out a way to right the ship, to make everybody better, to do all that. If he doesn't believe he's getting effort from anybody who's in that first 5 or first 6 or first 7, I say send a message of some sort. Sit somebody, change a rotation, do something. He just keeps kind of repeating the same things. Again, the rotation changed a little bit today, but if your starters aren't giving you energy, you've got to do something at some point, right? Yeah, I don't know what that something is, but
you got to do something drastic. You got to do something that's
you have to do something drastic at this point. Yeah,
something that's uncharacteristic of Brett. And listen, I think a lot of that Duncan stuff and all that Boston stuff before the game, it was also a PR move. I mean, let's be honest here. Let me get it out there once again, once and for all. I love this city. I love this team, and we can move on. But at the same time, if you're one of those top 4 or 5 players on the team, I'm giving you all I got that night. I'm like, man, coach said what he said. And
I don't get it.
Yeah, like he's here. He's in it. He's in it for the long haul. You know what? And everyone can talk about that job over there in Indiana. But you know what? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play my ass off because I'm going to show everyone that we can make this thing work. We can turn this thing around. And they laid an egg in that first half. Yeah, they were only down by like 10 points at the half, but they should have been down by 20. It's an egg. I mean, and then here comes the third quarter, which we've seen so many times. It's like fresh out of halftime. They come out. They look great. I'm waiting for the beginning of that fourth quarter because that's the stretch where things get ugly. Yeah. The very first play, they knocked out a 3-pointer to start things off. And then it was just essentially all downhill from there, whether it was the 50-50 play, Sacramento winning those, or whether it was them getting buckets in transition. I mean, look, the Celtics, it just comes when we're talking about effort over and over again for a team that's talented enough to not be 500, and we're still talking about this 41 games into the regular season. the coaches lost this team, guys. I mean, it took me a couple of weeks to reach that point, and I'm not saying that they've reached a point where Brad can't get them to refocus. I just don't know how he's going to be able to do that. I think this work is cut out for Brad right now with this team this season.